Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. Hope everybody's having a great Saturday, a great start to their weekend out there. We have a lot to talk about in today's weather forecast, including warm-ups, cool downs, heavy rainfall with severe weather, and some snowstorms upcoming towards the middle of the month. We have a lot to get to in today's forecast, so let's waste no time and let's look at our low temperatures here this morning. We are waking up to well above normal temperatures across the Great Plains and the Deep South this morning. Into the 40s and 50s we are, and even low 60s near the Houston area and coastal Texas this morning. We are seeing low 60s to start the morning. Not too shabby either across the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, or the Northeast. A lot of these temperatures into the upper 20s here this morning, so definitely could be a lot colder this time of year. And looking at those temperature anomalies this morning, notice across the middle of the country, that's where we see those 10, 20, even 30 degrees above normal across the Great Plains here, into the upper Midwest, into the northern Rockies, and especially the southern Canadian provinces here. We are seeing those well above normal temperatures this morning. As we go into the afternoon, with the lack of snow cover on the ground, we are going to see temperatures start to soar into the 40s here across the upper Midwest, into the Great Lakes, and into the mid-Atlantic states. Further south, though, as we're starting warm, we're going to end up warm this afternoon. Temperatures will be into the 50s, 60s, and maybe even taking a run at the 70s down here into places like the Rio Grande Valley and coastal Texas, and also portions of the southeast coast into southern portions of Alabama, Georgia, and Florida this afternoon. Let's look at that snow cover here that we were just alluding to, and you can see we are seeing a lack of it across the eastern two-thirds of the country, and that has been a testament to our very warm temperatures here over the last week or so that has eaten our snowpack from south to north across much of the Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the Ohio Valley, and we're just left with some snow up here into Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, and upstate New York. Otherwise, it's the Rockies, the mountains in the Pacific Northwest, or the Sierras down in California that have the snowfall in the United States, and that is about it. But if you like detailed weather breakdowns across North America, make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. I would love to hit 100,000 subscribers by spring, and you can help me get there simply by pressing the subscribe button down below. Also, make sure to press the like button down below. It helps out more than you know. Now let's look at our current weather conditions out the door this morning, and you can see we have some rain showers, even some thunderstorms roaming the landscape down here across the lower Mississippi Valley, places like East Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana getting the brunt of the heavy rainfall here this morning, where it's dry across the east for the most part, but we do have some snow on the backside of this system where we have the cold air aloft across the Rockies, especially as you go up in elevation. So places like Idaho, western Montana into Wyoming there, Utah, and western and central Colorado, we are seeing some snowfall here at this given time. So let's look at the pressures this morning and today in general. We have a low pressure system here down across the southwestern plains into the Texas Panhandle around a 995 millibar low pressure system. The lower the pressure, the stronger the storm will be, and you can see that's down near the Amarillo area today. That will move off to the east-southeast near the Gulf Coast toward Panama City as a 997 millibar low on your Sunday time frame tomorrow, and that means we're going to start to see more active weather across the deep south. And then we turn our attention out west as well on Sunday, because we have another significant storm moving into the west coast, and in particular northern California. This is a 981 millibar low, which means it's going to be a lot stronger than the one in the plains, so more impacts can be expected across the west coast later on this weekend. So let's kind of put both of those together and talk about them here. You can see today we got some snow across the Rockies from Colorado all the way up there into portions of Montana, Wyoming, and Idaho. The warm side of the system will have rain across the Great Plains here, more scattered rain, but we'll have areas where we have downpours and even some lightning strikes with some thunderstorms out there as we go through the day. As we go into tonight, more widespread rainfall will begin to break out across portions of the middle and lower Mississippi Valley there, across Kansas, southern Missouri, getting into eastern Oklahoma, much of the state of Arkansas, getting down into Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama there. Snowfall up across the northern Rockies, and then here comes that system as we go into tonight, into your Sunday morning. for portions of central and coastal California. The Sierras will start to get off on a good note with some snowfall out there tonight. Then as we go into Sunday, just a lingering area of precipitation across the deep south here. We'll continue to watch for some flooding threats and some severe weather across Florida as well as we go into Sunday, primarily damaging winds and large hail. But I do think there could be enough instability and wind shear combining for some tornadoes across especially south central Florida on your Sunday. But look at all the heavier snow over here with that other system in California. Very heavy rain, very heavy snow there on Sunday, and that just continues with a conveyor belt of moisture across the Pacific Northwest, the Pacific Southwest, and the West Coast in general as we go into Sunday night. Let's look at the severe weather threat though as we go through Sunday here. We have a marginal risk across most of Florida here except for the Panhandle and far northern Florida, okay? So we still have those 1 out of 5s on the scale, even a 2 out of 5, a slight risk in the yellow down here across far southern Florida, the Fort Lauderdale area near Naples, Miami, and even Key West, starting to see some of that as we go into Sunday. And we have to watch this setup as well. We're going to have enough instability, enough wind shear, and enough moisture in place for some supercells capable of producing some rotating tornadoes, okay? So you can see we do have a 2 to 5% shading of tornadoes, the 2% in the green, 5% in the brown here, and most of south central Florida is in play here, especially during peak daytime heating, mid to late afternoon and into the evening on Sunday. So make sure you're watching the weather down there. Now let's look at our precipitation, because this system, or both of these systems really, will be producing a lot of rainfall over the next 24 to 48 hours. And you can see from the Great Plains down through the deep south and the Gulf Coast states, widespread amounts of 1 to 3 inches worth of rain going up to your Monday, February 5th time frame. And the heaviest of the rains around the Houston region, Lake Charles, New Orleans, and Jackson, Mississippi. Those areas could be closer to 3 inches than to the 1 inch mark on this 1 to 3 inch area of rainfall. So we'll keep an eye on that. Across the southeast, we'll still see rain over here into Alabama, Florida, and Georgia, and even southern South Carolina getting in on some rainfall with this through your Monday. Definitely seeing again another swath of about 1 to 3 inches here as well. So make sure you're watching out for those flooded roadways as we go through Monday. And then the second system coming in onto the West Coast as we go into your Sunday, Monday time frame. Notice across California, especially coastal California here, we could be seeing some widespread 2 to 4 inches worth of rain through Monday. So definitely seeing a lot of rainfall here, and there's a lot of snowfall on the way. These Sierras out here in California are absolutely going to get crushed with snowfall. We're talking a few feet of snow just between today, right now, and Monday morning. So definitely seeing that coming in waves, and a lot of moisture coming in into the Pacific Northwest, the Pacific Southwest, and the West in general over the next 24 to 48 hours. Then as we go into next week, here is the jet stream orientation across the country. And notice it takes on more of a curve to the north, which means we're going to have cold air aloft start to work its way from Canada down to the western third of the country. So that means we're going to have a cold side to any low pressure system that develops on this jet stream. Think of the jet stream basically as a storm track. So right over the jet stream, that's basically where our low pressure systems will be. To the northwest, we'll have colder air aloft with snowfall. To the southeast, we're going to have some warmer, milder, and more unstable air for heavier rain and severe weather potential going through next week. So let's first look at the setup for our temperatures. So here's your temperature anomalies next week, and you can see well above normal, very El Nino look to it across southern Canada and the northern tier of the United States, well above normal temperatures. That's what we're seeing now. That's what we'll see as we go into next week. Notice across the West Coast, and underneath that, near the Gulf Coast and the Southeast Coast and up the East Coast in general, we're going to be seeing below normal temperature anomalies through next week with the more cloud cover, more precipitation, and just more rainfall and snowfall in general. And look at this as we go into next week. Very active again as we go in towards California, Nevada, the Four Corners region, the Rockies. Very nice precipitation amounts as we go through next week with a third system that will be moving in. So let's first look at our temperatures. You can see very mild start to next week for February 5th. We'll take it. 40s and 50s out here across most of the country. Going into Wednesday now, we're starting to get closer to record territory by mid to late week with these temperatures, especially up into the upper Midwest and into the Great Lakes. I mean, we're talking temperatures closing in on 60 all the way up here into Lincoln, Nebraska, Omaha, and even 55 up toward the Sioux Falls region. So very impressive for the first week in February. And as we go into Friday, we're not really seeing much happening, much change up here across the upper Midwest, maybe a little bit colder, but across the east, really seeing those mild temperatures continue with more records possible across the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and interior New England for that Friday, February 9th timeframe. Now let's talk precipitation. Initially, across the middle and eastern 2/3 of the country on Monday, we will be dry. The storm track will remain well to the west, so we're going to see more moisture moving in, very saturated soils out here, so we have to keep an eye on flash flooding and some mudslides as well across especially those higher elevations. So definitely keep an eye on that on Monday. Then as we go into the middle of the week, by Wednesday, more of that moisture moves inland here across the Intermountain West. We're talking some heavy snows across the Rockies, maybe some snowfall up there into southern Canada, into portions of southern Saskatchewan, southern Manitoba, and into towards portions of Alberta as well on Wednesday. Then as we go into Friday, notice the snow track as well to the north. We have to relay the foundation because we melted a lot of our snow to the south. So we're going to have more snow to the north and milder temperatures to the south. So we'll see mostly rain across the United States as we go through later next week. In all, it's not going to be a back-breaking storm system for rainfall or snowfall. But looking at the rainfall amounts here, we could be seeing some decent rains for the soils out here across the eastern 2/3 of the country. The heaviest of the rains will be out west, of course, into California, Oregon, Nevada, and the Four Corners region here. And then as we go into the snowfall side of things, notice the storm track will be further north. That means to the northwest of those low pressure systems, we're going to be seeing more snowfall up into southern Canada from Ontario, back through Manitoba, southern Saskatchewan, into Alberta, and then of course out across the Rockies, the Sierras again, and those mountains up there in towards the Washington State area, Oregon and Idaho. Definitely seeing more heavy snow through next week with this setup. But if you're looking for winter to return, we got some great news for you here across the East Coast. So just wait about a week or so. Look at here as we go into Monday, February 12th through the Friday, February 16th timeframe. This goes right into mid-February. This is a good look for some winter returning across the east. You can see below normal heights across the east. This signifies below normal temperatures and more active weather. Notice the ridge building all the way up into western Canada and Alaska. That's a good look here. That means all of our low pressure systems will be able to go underneath of that and produce a lot more colder temperatures and more precipitation as it taps into that eastern Pacific and Gulf of Mexico moisture. So here is the look for El Nino, and notice we're going to see that start to transpire the further we go into February. Warmer temperatures to the north, cooler and wetter to the south here. So that's what we're going to see, and we're going to have an active southern jet stream really pumping in that moisture as we get toward mid-month. So look at the temperature anomalies here from the 12th through the 16th. We're warm across the north into southern Canada, the northern tier of the United States, much like we see here this week and much like we see next week. And you can see underneath of that, the Pacific Southwest, the Four Corners region, the southern tier of the United States into the southeast, and then on up the East Coast will be generally below normal in the temperature department during that time frame. But we'll have to keep an eye on how far south that southern jet stream goes, because the further south it goes, it's going to be able to pick up a lot of energy. And yes, we could be returning some nor'easter talk across portions of the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic coast as we get towards that 12th through the 16th time frame, and probably beyond as we go into the second half of February for these areas. And you can see that here the ensembles are starting to pick up on more precipitation across the south again and the east. So the East Coast is in play here, and you can see initially that during that 12th through the 16th time frame, like I said before, we're going to have to relay the foundation for our snowpack. We are missing it across the Midwest, the Great Lakes region, and the Ohio Valley, and much of the Northeast. So we'll start to lay down more snow here across the Great Lakes, southeastern Canada, and interior New England. And eventually, once we get to the second half of February, beyond the 16th, that snow line will be able to move further south as we start to lay more of that foundation out for the snow cover later in the month. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's weather forecast and all the information that I had to share with you. If you did like it, make sure to subscribe to the channel down below for detailed weather breakdowns throughout 2024 right here on this channel. Make sure to press the like button down below. It helps out more than you know. Share this video with friends, family, and on social media, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Saturday out there.